such a bad guy.
We're starting with the newest entrant to the GOAT conversation, Steph Curry. Shaq demanded that Steph be included in the conversation. Now Draymond has added his voice to Steph's GOAT case on his podcast. Take a listen.
He 100% is in that conversation, and he 1,000% belongs in that conversation. There's no one in the history of the NBA that has been schemed against and guarded the way Steph Curry is guarded. I've played in the NBA Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers and got wide open layups, dunks, in transition because he's running on the wing, and they'd rather go run and take the three away from him on the wing and give me a dunk.
Well, I do agree that a Steph wide open three is a higher percentage shot than a Draymond Green layup. That I do agree.
Right, Draymond played a role, a bigger role in that outcome than
it's amazing. And then even years later, they were just leaving me open from three. They were so scared of him. And I couldn't believe it.
Wide open 20-footers. I mean, they never guard me.
Okay, just reaction to the GOAT
listen,
case.
This is not an allowable opinion. It's not. It is an allowable opinion. He's the greatest point guard ever. I disagree with it.
He could be. That's a conversation.
That is a conversation. Yes. And again, words and monikers and designations have to mean something, or else they mean nothing. And if everyone's in the GOAT conversation, then no one's in the GOAT conversation. If a top 10 just means he was awesome and is top 25, then nothing is special. And so so there's a million reasons to look at it. First, I just want to do the Magic thing quickly, Brew. Because people don't remember, and by the way, Magic, half his career, or the beginning of his career, I wasn't even alive. And I'm 40 years old, so I get it. So I just break Magic's career down into two parts. Here's the first 3 years for Magic Johnson. 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs in his first 3 seasons, including what some people think is the greatest game ever, the 42, 15, and 7 as a rookie to win a championship over Dr. J and the Sixers. Here's the reason I'm showing you these first 3 seasons. He wasn't good yet. Because here's the next 9. 3 league MVPs, all 9 years top 3 MVP, all 9 years first team All-NBA, 3 more rings, another finals MVP, and made the finals 7 of the 9 times. So the argument for Magic Johnson are those 2 graphics. And so again, but I'll listen to the argument for Steph about in point guard. I'll listen to it. Right. But the greatest, what everyone who is in the actual GOAT conversation, if we make it as liberal as possible, Brew, which includes the 3 guys you and I think are the whole conversation, LeBron, Kareem, and Michael, add in Magic, add in Wilton Russell for the old timers, because that's the kind of list you gave me, was decade plus dominance. So I just did this, top 3 MVP finishes in your career, 11, 10, 9, 9, 9, 7, 3. You are one of the greatest players ever. And by the way, Brew, nothing would help LeBron's GOAT case more than if Steph Curry was widely considered the 2nd greatest player ever. And so it's in my interest to try to build him up. But the reality has to be the reality, and we can't be such prisoners of the moment that everybody's in the GOAT conversation. They're not. He's not.
Yeah, first of all, we need to get some definitions. Does top 10 mean 10?
No.
Or does it mean like 17?
That's what I'm saying.
Or 14?
It means like 17.
Right? Okay. All right.
A lot.
Does GOAT, what is conversation? The conversation for the GOAT is this person possibly the greatest player ever?
Which we're discussing.
And I don't think, and maybe Draymond would say, is anyone, and I love Steph. All right, I believe, I might be wrong. I think I was the first one to say he's the greatest shooter ever.
Yep.
ESPN around 2015, I said it. I think I was the first. I didn't hear anybody say it before me.
That's why you're the GOAT.
I've said, I don't think I was the first on this, he is the greatest small player ever. eclipsing Isaiah Thomas. And Isaiah's been bothered with me about that. But
you put him in the all-time top 10 as early as anybody I saw. I know that.
So I love Steph. Nick, I don't know anyone that will say with a straight face, he is the greatest player ever.
I don't think Dell would say it.
Shaq and Draymond said it.
No, they didn't.
They want to be in the conversation.
Right.
But their conversation probably includes 12 guys, maybe.
Right. So that's the thing is, you in order to be, and then I didn't mean to interrupt you. No. I apologize. I think what Brew and I are both saying is this. In order to be in the conversation, there has to be people that actually believe you're at the top of the conversation.
Yes.
And I'm saying I don't think Steph, Dell, or Seth thinks Steph is the greatest player of all time. Maybe Aisha, and that's it. And so, like, I just
that's probably very accurate.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So, there has to be someone who says you're the GOAT and mean it.
And I said yesterday, Magic, I think it's Michael, LeBron, and Kareem. That's the because now there are some people that say Magic is the greatest.
And some people say Wilt.
Right. But those three that I have, they were great defensive players. And I showed the graphic yesterday. We don't have to show it again, but there it is. They made multiple all-defensive teams, were viewed as like a top 2 or 3 defender in the league during their prime. Steph was hunted.
And subbed out at the end of games.
Yes, by the Cavs. In those finals, they looked for him. Luka, as much as you and I like him, I think Luke's going to win championships. I love watching him with he's fantastic. Yeah, he's not going to be the GOAT.
He's a great defensive
he can't
player
defend.
when you look at not when you look at it now.
But that's the same thing we've said Luka could be the greatest, like his ceiling was the greatest offensive player. But go ahead.
Can I make an argument? I think what Shaq and Draymond are saying, that if we're having a GOAT college football playoff, he wants Steph to have a chance at it.
No, but
he wants them in the conversation. That's it. In the conversation is a bar unto itself. He wants them to cross into that.
I agree, but that's just Nick is right. That to be in the conversation, there has to be a chance that you are actually the GOAT.
The GOAT. There is.
Yes,
Wilds,
he is the GOAT shooter.
But
that's not. But there's more to it than that.
Wilds. There is no GOAT college football playoff. It is a GOAT BCS. And sad but not fair, Kareem's the third seed that didn't get in. Like, that's what it's been. Now, I think Kareem
is the best, I think the best college player ever.
No. I'm not saying college.
General.
I'm saying the old BCS where it was just the top 2 teams. I'm saying the GOAT, the NBA GOAT conversation is that.
It's usually
it is turned into LeBron versus Michael. And I think there is a strong argument for Kareem. There is no, those. It's not about what these other guys weren't. It's about what those 3 guys were. I think that's maybe a nicer frame to put on.
Sure.
We don't want to shoot down anyone.
I am interested. Like, maybe we can do it another day. Maybe it's better for your solo podcast. I don't know.
Check that out.
I think there is a really interesting conversation of Steph, Duncan, Shaq, Kobe. Those 4 careers, all of whom they couldn't be more different players. They all won 4 or 5 rings. They all have different, pros and cons to them. They're like how you would rank those 4. You know what I mean? I think that's the conversation that I think is a legitimate one. Like and what I find so interesting about the Steph GOAT part of it is some of the people making the argument should be in the GOAT conversation. Also, I think if you're like, hey, who was better, Steph or Kobe? They'd be like, well, Kobe.
Right. They wouldn't even say it's close.
I think you're one of those people.
Well, yeah, probably.
You think he should be in Steph should be in the conversation?
I like the idea of being in the conversation as an accolade unto itself.
That's what
now, once you have the conversation, you guys proved that he belongs in the conversation. I know you think you didn't because you just did 12 minutes and 10 seconds.
Well, here's the other thing.
You're like, he's like Magic. He's now anchored to Magic.
He can be the point guard conversation, Magic or Steph, is legitimate. I would take Magic, but there's an argument there for Steph. But best player ever. Here's the other thing. Draymond said nobody's ever been guarded or schemed for like Steph. First of all, wasn't there